This is so weird. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. This is my first video in like 9 months. That's crazy. Honestly, I just had a lot going on and like did not have time to like read. I got married March 4th, 3/4. So the last like 8 months, honestly closer to like over a year, that's been taking up like 99% of my energy, and so I haven't even had time to read. So then I was like, what am I supposed to vlog about? So I thought, since I honestly haven't read that much this year, that I would just do a video talking about like all the books that I've read so far this year. It's like the last day of March, so it is the first quarter of the year done. So I thought that I would just talk about everything that I read. So the first book that I read of the year, which is funny because this is almost like a new tradition, and I didn't even mean to do it, but my first book of the year was an Emma Lord book. She always releases her books in January, and for some reason I always pick them up like first thing in the year. It was Tweet Cute, then it was You Have a Match, then it was, I feel like there's another one I'm forgetting, When You Get the Chance, and now there's Begin Again. Literally, like that, all of those I think were the first books that I read of the year, each corresponding year. So it's kind of funny. Begin Again I did give 2 stars. It's probably my least favorite, I think, star rating wise. Tweet Cute, When You Get the Chance, You Have a Match, Begin Again. And that would be 5, 4, 3, 2. My main issue with this was the main character. First of all, this is an NA book. This is a new adult. She's always written YA, but these are 19, 20-year-old character. They're in college. I think like their 2nd or 3rd year of college. The main character, Andy, was just really annoying to me. She was immature. She didn't act her age, like even in the realm. She gave really bad advice to her friends. She was super pretentious. Definitely thought she was better than everybody, and that's just not something I vibe with. And then the romance, the whole plot of the book, I didn't feel a connection. So obviously, if I don't think you should be together, I'm not gonna like the book. There were also quite a lot of plot holes, which I thought was interesting since this is a Emma Lord's 4th book. I thought it was interesting to have this many plot holes, this many things that just didn't seem really fleshed out. Overall, 2 stars. I was not honestly really a fan of this one. Then I had Below Zero by Ali Hazelwood, the STEMinist novellas. I'm reading all of them. 3 stars. Did its job, the smut was good, but obviously I was left wanting more. It's hard for me to build that connection to the characters and the relationship when we only get them for such a short amount of time. I wasn't super connected to the characters, but I had a good time. 3 stars isn't a bad rating. I don't know why I'm like trying to justify like be like, oh my god, like no, 3 stars is fine. There were people that were really upset about this one actually because of the smut. They both I think actually work for NASA. She has like this love for Mars, and when they were getting down with it, he was like describing her body in like, I don't know, like topographical like comparisons to Mars, like her crevices and all of that. And people were like, what the fuck? But honestly, for me, not into that. Mars is not my kink, but it seemed to be hers, to be honest. So if he's doing that because it, to her, seemed to like work, then who are we to judge? You know what I mean? Like, who are we to judge? There was a part where it described him like sucking on her belly button, like what the fuck? That was weird to me. I mean, do you? Again, hey, doesn't matter to me, it doesn't affect me, but it's like, maybe it's just like a gross thing for me because I feel like most people don't like really, like get in there, like clean properly their belly button. So it just seemed fucking gross. But I don't know. Again, do you though? Do you? So read that one. The Spanish Love Deception. I'm so sorry if this is like your fave. You're all like Aaron Blackford or whatever his name is. Is his name Aaron Blackford? Hold on. This literally was one of the most boring, drawn out romances ever. I didn't even realize how many pages is this. This 500 pages. I didn't even realize. And then I started the audiobook and I was like listening to it and I was like, oh my god, like this is so boring. I wonder how far into it I am. And it would be like I'd only have gotten like 4% more because it's literally like a 15+ hour audiobook. For a romance, I get it if the romance has other elements as far as like, oh, maybe it's kind of like also a fantasy or something like that, you know, where it needs to build more, but just like a romance, 500 pages, 15 and like a half-hour audiobook. So much of the story was unnecessary, not to mention it was also so slow. Just because it's a big book, it doesn't have to be slow, and this was both big and slow. Which was not good in this case scenario, I'll tell you that much. I did not like it. What did I give it? 2 stars. 2 stars. So slow, so much of the story I was like, is this actually adding to the story? Absolutely not. Didn't need it, could have been cut. This book could have been 350 pages. You could have taken out literally like a fourth of this book and it would have had the exact same impact. Really wasn't a fan of this. I don't know, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe that's fine. Maybe it's just not for me. But then I had Funny You Should Ask. 5 stars. 5 golden stars. This was stunning. Funny You Should Ask was everything that I wanted in a romance. The flashbacks, the kind of like friends to enemies to lovers kind of like over time, and just showing the growth and like, you know, the flows of life and development and growing in the personality traits. I don't know. The development was just so on point for me, and I absolutely loved seeing their relationship just kind of throughout the years. It takes place over the course of like 10 years. It was a romance that almost felt a little bit more, not a full part of, but borderlining literary fiction. It just had more depth to it than a lot of other romances. And I don't know, I really loved this. Then Sweeter Than Chocolate. This is a Hallmark romance, and I'm a big smut girly when it comes to romance. I don't want nothing. I had some extra borrows on Hoopla for the month, and I wanted a Valentine's Day romance. I tried to read one last year that was like Royal Valentine, and I really didn't like it. So I was like, you know what, I'll give like another short story, a little holiday romance. I'll give it a go. It was cute. It was about this, I feel like I haven't been saying what these books are about, but because all the ones I've read previous are pretty popular books, but this one I feel like it's not as popular. It has only 600 ratings, so not popular really at all, but at all really. But this one is about this woman. She owns this coffee shop, or sorry, this sweets shop. It's been in her family for generations. It's like super cute. Oh my god, I loved like the descriptions of all of that. But there's this like myth, I guess, or this whatever you call it, this tale that her family actually like puts magic or something. There's something magical about these sweets, where particularly with one type of sweet, if you eat it like on Valentine's Day, I'm pretty sure it had to be, you will meet like the love of your life. And there's so many people who this has happened to the point where they have like a wall of pictures and stuff. And then this reporter comes in and he's just really skeptical. So typical like grumpy sunshine, magic, is it real, is it not real, all this stuff. And I really liked it actually. I give it like 3.5 stars, 3.75, so I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. There was a lot of character development. There was actually a lot of depth that I wasn't expecting in a story like this, so it was interesting to say the least. It definitely took me for a bit of a surprise because it was really unexpected. I actually read, so The Bake Shop at Pumpkin and Spice is 3 authors, each of them with a short story about Moonbright, Maine, and one of the stories in here is actually about the bake shop, and they have like magic in their baked goods, and it has to do with falling in love and stuff. So it was really similar to this. It reminded me of it a lot, so that was really interesting. But yeah, so overall I did like it. I would recommend it. They are turning it into a movie too. The book got popular enough that Hallmark was like, oh, let's make this into a movie. So that like just came out. Probably not gonna watch it because, like I said, Hallmark movies, I don't know. But I did enjoy this more than I thought I would. Then I have 84 Charing Cross Road. This is a nonfiction memoir, kind of. This is about the correspondence between an American writer and a bookshop in London and the people who work there and their families and whatnot. And she's looking for a particular book, so she mails them and they correspond, and it's about their correspondence back and forth. They build a really strong relationship. It's all real. It's nonfiction. So these are actual correspondence. These are actual, you're really reading the letters between them. and it was just like stunning. It was almost so like beautiful and heartfelt and everything that I really forgot that I was reading real letters, because it just felt so stunning and everything was just so powerful that it felt fabricated. But knowing that it's not, it's just, I don't know, it was just beautiful. Like, I have had this on my TBR for so long, and finally I was like, you know what, I want something really short and just to kind of pick up. You know, I had a lot to do that day, so I was like, I'll pop in an audiobook super quick, and it was exactly what I needed. I'm a really sentimental person, so I'm definitely the type of person who wishes that we still wrote letters to each other. I think that they're so powerful and meaningful, and I just love like written words. And so it was just lovely to see that, like, even before social media, even before the internet, all the way across the world, these people began this like beautiful relationship, and it was still possible, but just done like slower, you know what I mean? But to me, that's almost more impactful. So I don't know, I really loved it. I'm so glad. I highly recommend everybody read it. I'm not a fan of nonfiction, not a fan of memoir, although like I said, it's not like a memoir like this is my life. It's like just an interesting correspondence, you know, back and forth between them. But it was stunning. I really enjoyed it. Then I read The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. I gave this 4 stars. It didn't tug on my heartstrings as much as I thought that it would, but it definitely met all of my expectations. The writing is so lyrical. I don't know how to describe this book. I feel like if you read it, you know what I mean. It's hard to explain, especially with no spoilers or anything like that, but this book is just, it is really beautiful. I definitely went into it thinking that it would be a new, like, all-time favorite. It unfortunately was not for me, just because I didn't have that connection as much as I thought that I would. I did listen to this on audio though, so maybe if I had read it physically, I would have felt a little differently. But still, I think 4.5 stars on Storygraph is what I gave it. But I really loved this. This was on my like 23 and 2023 list, and I'm so glad that I put it on there and got to it, because I really did like this one. Okay, I had to take a break. I had somebody pick something up off Facebook Marketplace. Okay, then I had Vox. I have owned this book for a very long time, and I finally was like, you know what, I could be in the mood for something like that, like dystopian sci-fi, and this ended up being such a good book. I literally annotated it like crazy. I put in all like my, like, I had so many thoughts. Like, this book is a wild ride. There's literally so many like moments where I was like, what the fuck, and like just all of this, I don't know, I got really into this book. Like, look at that. Like, I had things to say about this book. This is kind of a take on Handmaid's Tale, is what people are saying. Pretty much it's set in, I think, present day America, but a kind of alternative reality. And the government has decided to only give women 100 words a day. So all women get these little bracelets, these little counters, and after they reach that limit, if they go any further, they get shocked. And if they go further and further and further, the shocks get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Pretty much, it's like these really extreme, and I mean extreme, like Christian valued conservatives come into power, and they decide that they want America to go back to very traditional Christian values. So they don't, no freedom of religion, no freedom of speech anymore, nothing like that. Women are like forced to marry men, so if that's not their preference, they go into these camps. Women aren't really allowed to go to school. The school that they do have women go to, or like little girls go to, is like home ec the entire time. They're not taught math, they're not taught how to read, nothing like that. Women can't read, you're not allowed to read books, except unless it's like a cookbook, and even then, only some of them. So it's scary as fuck. It's very scary, because there were so many things that people would say that I, over the course of the last 10 years with American politics, how they've gone, I have heard people say things like this. So to read it in a dystopian novel, and to know that people, really a lot of people, feel this way and would love this situation, is sickening. But it made the book so just emotional for me. It made it very intense, but it's also very action-packed. This is not a slow book. I devoured this book. It is action-packed. There's never a dull moment. There's never a time where you're like, oh, they're sitting around doing nothing, or plotting or whatever. Like, there's always something. The end, the last like 50 pages or so, maybe 20 pages or so, around there, it's like an action book, which I didn't think I would like, but with this premise, I was like, fight those men, you know what I mean? Like, and the ending was a lot. The ending was a lot. I'm not gonna say if that's a good or a bad thing, because I don't know, but it was a lot. So I cannot recommend this book enough. I can't believe how underrated it is. It was a lot, but this book completely engrossed me. I cannot believe it was sitting on my shelves for so long, with me just being like, crazy. Then I finally got around to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I gave this 4.5 stars. This was beautiful. This was heart-wrenching. This was everything that I needed and wanted and thought that it would be. So that was perfect. I will say the only reason that I knocked it down a star, or a half star really, is because of the very last story. And I can't really say anything without spoiling anything, so I don't know. But there's elements about the last story that I really did not appreciate or like. So I love this. I can't wait to continue in this series. The 4th and final installment is getting translated into English, I want to say this summer or maybe later this year. So I am very excited for that. I definitely want to catch up on book 2 and 3 first. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. And I'm trying to complete, I'm trying to work on completing my series. I'm really bad at completing series. I'm the type of person where if it gets too long in between reading the books, I have to read them like the first one or the first 2 like all over again. That makes it really hard. So I'm trying to complete series that I know are done or almost done. So I started with the Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams, right? Lisa K. Adams? Lissa? I think Lissa K. Adams. This one, I know that the 5th book, the Christmas one, came out just this last November, December or something. And then I think the final one is coming out this year. So I thought, you know what, by the time I get them all in at the library and stuff, it'll probably be when the last one comes out. So I put in all my holds and I have read the first. I've read 2 and I'm on the 3rd one literally right now. And then the other 2 I have holds in for. And I think the last one comes out this year. So I will be done with that whole series by this year, which I think is great. So I reread the first book, which is the only one that I had previously read. I, in the past, had given this 3 stars. I don't know what I was on. Like, literally, I had to be on something. Because it was a 5-star read for me this time. 5 stars. There was something about a romance that focused on a couple that is already married long-term and shows them learning how to stay together versus typical romance, which shows couples getting together. As someone in a long-term relationship, there was something about it where it's like, I just respect that perspective so much, and just like the differences between the difficulties in learning how to stay together and grow together versus getting together, right? So there was something about the holiday elements. I felt like I was watching like one of my favorite holiday like rom-coms or something. It's just, it shows Thanksgiving, it shows Christmas. Like, I just loved those elements. I think that it did the holiday part so well to the point where it almost felt like a holiday book, but it's not. And so it felt so cozy. It felt like a cozy hug to me. So 5 stars. I love this one. But then I read the second one. Undercover Bromance follows, what is it, Brayden and Liv, right? I did not like Liv in the first book. I think she was very annoying. I think she, you know, put her nose in business that was definitely not, like, had nothing to do with her. And you could argue she was trying to be like a nice sister or like a protective sister, but it didn't come across that way. So I didn't really like Liv in the first book. So to then have her be the focus of this next book was kind of like, okay, but she's not my favorite. So it's hard for me to root for her. But I went into it with an open mind. I was like, you know what, maybe we'll see some character development, whatever. But we just didn't, honestly. I feel like my connection with her didn't grow, and that made it hard to read the book. I do really like Brayden Mac, but with Liv, I just like, I couldn't have cared less really. I also felt like this book was so like high action, like spy, thriller, romance. I appreciated the message, but I just think it was doing too much. It was trying to be too many different genres, and I just didn't appreciate it. Like, at the end of the day, I just didn't really like it. Then I read Under One Roof. Like I said, I'm trying to read all the feminist novels from Ali Hazelwood. This one I gave 2 stars, if not, I think 1.5 on Storygraph. I did not like this one at all. This was the first Ali Hazelwood that I really just not enjoyed at all. I think the way it was written was so, it had the same tropes as all her other books, right? Big man, little girl who's in STEM, like all these tropes that everyone seems to like just be over with her. But the way this one was written was just, it was different. It was boring. It was really hard to follow. I didn't connect with the characters at all. I was like, okay, like whatever. And then on top of that, if you've read the book, you know, if you know, you know, the whole book is ruined in the first page. And sometimes I love a good, ooh, flash forward, and then we get to see like, oh, you're probably wondering how I got here. Like, right? Like an old school, like 2000s, like teenage movie or something, right? How did I get in this situation? And then it like zooms back like 10 days ago or whatever. This did not work like that because it spoiled the entire book. There's a difference. There's a certain way to be able to do a flash forward kind of thing. And this was not it. It ruined the whole book. It literally, the whole enemies to lovers, the whole build up, it just gets ruined right away. And it's almost like I don't care then. So the whole book I was like, oh, but eventually I know that this scene is going to happen. And so I have no connection. I have no investment into this story. So there's a way to do that writing trope. There's a way to do that, but this was not the way to do that. It was not good at all. So did not like that. So those are all of the books that I have read in 2023. If you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts. If you have any book recommendations, as always, always leave them down below. And yeah, I will see you all in the next video.